living in this sinful world below. Yeah, there are lots of pain and misery. Yes, but still I have to do the works of him that sent me. While it is day, for the night is drawing nigh. That's why I sing. Wish I could fly and touch the sky, touch the sky. I wanna go to heaven when I die, when I die. I wish I could fly and touch the sky, touch the sky. I wanna go to heaven when I die, when I die. Listen, my friends, please come with me, yeah, to this great land of liberty, yeah. This must be heaven, can't wait to see his face. Can't wait to see his face, the one who saved me by his grace. That's why I sing, say, I wish I could fly and touch the sky, touch the sky. I wanna go to heaven when I die, when I die. I wish I could fly and touch the sky, touch the sky. I wanna go to heaven when I die, when I die. Living in this sinful world below, yeah. There are lots of pain and misery, yeah. But still I have to do the works of him that sent me. While it is day, for the night is drawing nigh. That's why I say, wish I could fly and touch the sky, touch the sky. I wanna go to heaven when I die, when I die. I wish I could fly and touch the sky, touch the sky. I wanna go to heaven when I die, when I die. Tell me who, tell me who, wanna go to heaven. Tell me who, tell me who, tell me who, wanna go to heaven. Tell me who, tell me who, tell me who, wanna go to heaven. Tell me who, tell me who, tell me who, wanna go to heaven.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's broadcast. My name is Dee Adekugbe of All Women Ministry, and I am here with a couple of good friends of mine to talk about a very special topic, women in education, as we prepare to celebrate Women's International Day coming up on March the 8th, 2021. But first of all, the song you just heard is from Arlene Meredith, Heaven. Arlene is one of our guests tonight, and you're going to be hearing more from her later on. Arlene is a worshiper in Calgary here, Alberta, and we are very, very pleased to support her ministry and feature this song tonight. So why are we celebrating Women's International Day? The reason why we're celebrating Women's International Day is to highlight the important role and work that women are doing across the world. To let people know that women are just as powerful as as our men. And so every year on March the 8th, millions of people around the world celebrate Women's International Day. And this year, the United Nations Women announced that the theme for International Women's Day is going to be Women in Leadership. Women in Leadership, achieving an equal future in a COVID-19 world. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, those who are watching me, women stand at the front lines of the COVID-19 crisis as healthcare workers, caregivers, innovators, community organizers, and as some of the most amazing national leaders in combating this pandemic. And All Women Ministry is happy to participate in celebrating these amazing women, as well as standing together to highlight, like I said, the plight of women across the world for equality. I want you to know that we are not a feminist group. We are a ministry called by God to empower, to inspire, and to celebrate women. Our vision and our mission is to raise up Deborahs who will stand beside the men to do the work of the ministry wherever God has called them in the 7 pillars of our society. Now, you may be thinking, what are the 7 pillars of our society? Some people refer to them as the 7 mountains, and they are the family, they are education, they include business, number 4, media, number 5, arts and entertainment, number 6, government and politics, and number 7, religion, or in our case, the church. The 7 pillars are the mountains of society, are divisions of influence over a nation. Each pillar holds a vital place and position that keeps a nation not only stable, but secure when the weight of society is equally distributed amongst the 7 pillars. Now, should a pillar become unstable? Should the family pillar become unstable? Or should the education pillar or the media pillar? Or should the arts and entertainment pillar become unstable? Or even our government or the religion, the church, should any of these pillars become unstable, become weak, or shattered? Guess what? It can cause the rest of the pillars to crumble, and that can cause society to fall apart. For any society to be strong, to be sturdy, to be successful, that society needs all 7 pillars. It needs the family, it needs the education system, it needs the media, it needs business, it needs art and entertainment, it needs government, and it needs the church. All to work together, all to stand, to be firm together in order for our society to be strong. And so as a ministry, we inspire, we challenge women to rise up as Deborahs, according to the book of Judges, chapter 4 and 5 in the Bible, to rise up as Deborahs beside their husbands, beside their brothers, their sons, and their fathers, and take their places as well in the 7 pillars, because God has called us all into the 7 pillars of society, both men and female. There is neither Jew nor Gentile, nor male nor female. We are one in Christ Jesus. And so tonight, our focus, we started this 3 days ago. On Monday, March 1st, we looked at the family pillar with my friend Connie Jacob. And I want to encourage you, go and watch that video. We were discussing about the mental health of the family and why it is important that as a faith community, we take mental health seriously and we begin to address it rather than praying and casting out demons. Yeah, there is a place for prayer. There is a place for casting out demons. There is also a place for conversation and to begin to highlight what is happening in the church. And then yesterday we looked at women in business and the amazing things that God is doing to raise up women in business to do the work of the ministry. Tonight, it is my privilege to bring 2 amazing women onto this platform to talk about the education pillar. And before they come, I just want to give you a little bit of a background. The education, together with the family and business so far, these are part of the pillars of citizenship. These are part of the pillars of our citizens' development in society. The main purpose of education is to educate individuals within society, to prepare and to qualify them for work in the economy, as well as to integrate people into society and teach them values and morals of society. The role of education is the means of socializing individuals and to keep society smoothing and remain stable. And so tonight, to discuss the importance of the education pillar, are 2 individuals who work in the education system, Tiffany Fraser-Mba, as well as Arlene Meredith. I'm going to ask these 2 amazing women to introduce themselves, starting with Tiffany. If you can unmute yourself. And then Arlene, I'm going to ask you both to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you before we get started.
All right. Thank you, Dee Adekugbe. Thank you. So as Dee already introduced me, my name is Tiffany Fraser-Mba. And yes, I do work in the education system. I work more so in healthcare, so working with nurses or nurses to be. I'm working full-time as an educator. I'm also a full-time mom and covering my husband aspects since he's away working. And yeah, and I also have my kids in school as well. So getting a taste of that world along with the post-secondary. So that's who I am, and I have a passion for what I do. So.
Wow, that's wonderful. And Arlene, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hello, good night, everyone. Thank you so much, Pastor Dee, for allowing me to be a part of this session. I am Arlene Meredith, and yes, I do work as an educator in the school. And I find that it's very important. It is a passion for me to be around students and young people from all ages. I do work from K to 12. So
Wow.
I'm an ELL educator, early English learners. All those students would come and see Miss Meredith. So I'm so happy to be here tonight. And I'm a lover of people. I have two wonderful kids myself, actually. And I just have a passion for that.
Wow. So you both talk about having a passion for education. Tiffany, where did that passion come from? And then I'm going to ask Arlene to explain the same thing. Where did that passion for education come from?
Well, I can remember as a kid, right, I wanted to be a teacher. Always wanted to be a teacher. I was recommended even at a young age, oh, you should be a nurse, you should be a nurse, you'll be a good nurse. And I thought, no, I don't want to deal with all that stuff, right? All the guts and gore and everything. And as I started to get older, and my experience with some of the teachers that I had, I was like, I don't want to do this. This is too much for me. I don't want to deal with all these issues, right? And so I decided that I'm going to go be a nurse. But I still within me had that passion for teaching. And so once I got some experience under my belt, I just felt I want to share what I have. And even seeing the impact that you're making as a nurse in patients' lives at their most vulnerable, sometimes points of their life, being there not just to give them that medical care, but to also give that humanistic, therapeutic aspect of it as well, that encouragement. And, you know, and as a person of faith, a woman of faith, my way, I'm not going to preach at you or anything like that, but I'm going to encourage you. And God uses you through that ways. And you know, just allowing the Holy Spirit to work. And so I just have a passion for sharing my knowledge and just sharing the benefits of being part of people's lives in that way and be able to make an impact. How can you make an impact?
Wow, I love that. I love that. Arlene, where did your passion come from?
Wow. I think my passion came from, honestly, it came from the fact that I grew up in a church setting where my mom basically said, this is where you guys are going to go and socialize, and pushed me and my kids, my siblings, just to go to church and just be there. And so then I got a passion, which is why I have that song out, for singing, leading the choir. I have to go back there. Just being one of the choir directors, first just a singer and then ushered into the front to be the leader, and not wanted to be. And so there I learned to love people. I learned discipline. I learned to teach when I didn't even know music, and had to go and learn to teach the thing. So if most teachers, as Julie knows, when we are teaching, we have to go and learn how to teach, and we have to learn the stuff that we're going to teach before we teach it. So music, and just being there, and my mom being that person, and my dad saying, go to the church, be a part of the church group, socializing us in that area. And it's the fabric of that social setting at that time. And we just go in there and then move into Calgary. This was in Ontario. And so moving then to Calgary, my background was dental. So still working with people, dental. So I was a dental assistant for years and then came here saying I wanted to do that. That just didn't work out. God had another plan for me. And somehow I was encouraged by a principal in one school. Why don't you go back to school, Miss Meredith? I think you have a knack for social health. I think you have for humanities. And I went back to school. And the passion is just there for people and just to work with young people.
That is amazing. That is amazing. So what is the best thing about being an educator, first of all?
Well, I think one of the best thing about being an educator is that you're held in with high regards. You are, as an educator, you are, as a teacher, you have to be disciplined. You have to be a great example. And people look up to you, the parents and the students.
Yes.
And you have students for how many hours per day? And you have to protect them and you have to guide them. And whatever you tell them has to be true, has to be valuable. And, you know, we usually say, if we are explaining, we say after, does that make sense? You know, because if you are teaching someone and they don't get it the first time, you have to do it again. It's repeat, repeat, repeat. So you have to repeat truth. You have to repeat values. You're setting a child from their kindergarten to move on to adulthood, and you're setting the stage for them for life. So it's very important.
Tiffany.
I think for me, what I like to see is I like to see when, now I work with mostly more so adults. And so what I like to see is them clicking and being able to think for themselves and being able to critically think in a situation and ask questions, right? You know, even me, who's been nursing for how long, I still ask questions. And it's okay if you don't, it's okay if you don't know everything, right? And just to encourage them and say, if you don't understand, right? And just like Adele was saying, they might not understand the first time. And if you don't understand, it's okay to say, hey, I don't get it. I don't understand. Okay, let's figure this out. Let's figure out why you don't understand and let's work through it. And because I know working with diverse cultures, like diverse backgrounds, you know, a lot of them say to me, we don't question our teacher. We are told not to question. And so we just accept what you tell us. And we don't want you to judge us if we don't get something. And I said, you know, I encouraged them and said, nursing is about growing and learning and thinking things through. And if you don't get it, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
I'm here to support you, right? And you know, I'm here to help guide you through this. And if you don't get it, that's okay. Right? You can come to me, and I hope you feel comfortable coming to me to ask those questions. It's okay to ask those questions, but just to get to the point that it's okay. You can ask questions. You can dig deep.
You know, one thing I love about educators is when I was in high school, I went through such a bad upbringing. It was really, really bad. And I was in and out of various homes and care. And I had a teacher, Mr. Ramsey. I still remember him till this day. And we're talking, almost 30 years ago. And Mr. Ramsey made it his duty, made it his I don't even know what the word is. He went all out for me, and he made it his duty that I would not fail. You know, I was failing school. I was getting into trouble. I was missing class. I was really a bad student. I remember one time throwing a chair at my math teacher because I had a lot of, emotional issues back then, and I was getting help and everything. But my teacher, Mr. Ramsey, I had him for 3 years. It was my homeroom teacher. He made it his mission in life that as long as I was in his class, I was not going to fail. I was going to succeed. I was going to graduate. And every day he would stay behind after school to help me, to talk to me. He was my counselor, my therapist, and my teacher. He would help me with my homework. It would help me and talk me through, why am I angry, what is going on. And I am who I am today because he helped me to graduate high school. And that's one of the reasons I love educators and teachers, because you play such a vital role in setting people up for success.
Correct.
You know, without educators, without teachers, many of us would not be who we are today. Now educators are not just, school teachers. We are talking about mentors. We are talking about lecturers. We're talking about, people who take time out to invest in your education, to invest, to make sure that you have the tools to be to contribute to society, to contribute to the economy, and to contribute to other people's lives. Now, tell me, what are some of the challenges that you have both faced as educators? Because I know that my teachers, when I was growing up, my teachers faced a lot. Like I said, I threw a chair at one of my teachers, because I was going through a lot of emotional challenges back then. And
That's okay.
Well,
I
well, we won't say on here. We'll just in general.
in general.
There can be a lot of challenges. Some days are more challenging than others. But a teacher is a person who helps students to acquire knowledge, competence, virtue. Informally, as you said, a teacher could be anyone, a mentor. So some days you get to work, and it depends on the students you're working with. You have students with different behaviors, students who are coming from various backgrounds, students with mental challenges. You have students with physical challenges and sometimes emotional challenges. You might have a child who, like Pastor D said, the behaviors are there, and then you are trained to how do you deal with these behaviors. But you have to have, like we said before, that passion to teach, that passion to look after those students, and that passion. So some of the challenges that we might have would be the same thing you're saying. I've had a student that perhaps, come into the classroom in the morning and is very upset and needs attention, but the wrong attention. So they might throw a chair. What do? You ignore that, but you can't just ignore it all the time. Throwing a chair is very serious, so you have to deal with that.
Yes, I know.
Right. You excuse that student, and you take them, and do you need some downtime? Are you hungry? So a lot of times, some kids are hungry. Some students are hungry. Some students are coming from a place at home where there's no peace, and they're sad, and they're depressed. There's a lot going on, or you're just having an off day. But throwing a chair, that might be a bit much. But dealing with those things, yes, there's a lot. You're not the only one. Students do that. Throw the backpack, throw the chair, fight. But the big thing is to find out what's going on today. Go into a quiet place, take some time off, time out rather, and perhaps someone else in authority has to come and help out. So and don't forget, we're women of faith. So prayer helps. Prayer helps. While you're doing all that, you are praying. And Proverbs gives us that. Proverbs says that in Proverbs, it tells us that we should train a child in the way he should grow. And when he is old, he will not depart. So as teachers, as educators, we cannot forget that we are also Christians, and that God gives us that discernment and that spiritual part to help to calm those situations and give us the wisdom to know what to do.
Yeah. Now, Tiffany, you are with the education. How what are the challenges of teaching adults? Tiffany? Okay, I think we've lost Tiffany. Oh, okay, are you back, Tiffany?
She's
Okay.
still there.
I think she's a little bit frozen. Okay, we'll come back to Tiffany in a little bit. But I want to ask you something, Meredith. I want you to encourage the women that are listening. Why should we get involved in education?
Women should get involved in education because I think that naturally we are nurturing people. But let's just say that naturally.
Yes.
And also we need women to stand up. We know that we have a lot of women in education, but we could use more. We are nurturing people.
Yes.
We're natural teachers. Even in our homes, we are teachers and we are educators. We educate our daughters, we educate our sons, we educate our husbands, and they educate us too. But I'm saying you're consistently learning. But as women, it's a good thing for women to be educators because women let's go back to the scripture. It was Mary that went to the tomb first. Women, we take initiative. We take the initiative to do things. And so therefore, a lot of times women will stand up and rise up to say that this is what's wrong. This is how we should deal with this. We need a woman's perspective on things. Even though we might have men and they have their perspective and they have what they should do. We need women to be in education because women are nurturing people. I can't stop saying that. We are just nurturing. We're very understanding. We're very wise. We're virtuous. And so we need more women in education. And I feel that when women are in education, it works well with the family.
Yes.
I'll take myself, for example. As I said, I was in dental. And I moved here. And my whole intention after my kids grew, got to a certain age was to go back and go back go further into dental and probably be a dentist, a hygienist, and the rest of it. And that was my plan. But everything I tried, it wasn't working out that way. The time frame, everything. And so I got encouraged by, like I said, by a principal at a certain school who said, why don't you go back and do something in humanities? I actually worked in a dental office when I first came. And after my second child, I ended up leaving that job when I was on maternity. That's when I started to explore all the other fields. So I went into the school to be a lunch supervisor, actually.
Oh.
I had some social health background and had some education in that, but and humanities. But as you can see, science and humanities. So I went back and I have my certification in human service profession.
Tiffany,
I'm back.
Yeah, decided to go on. And that was how that happened for me, that it works and it works well with the family. I'm so glad that I did. When my kids are off school, they're at schools, yes, I'm usually off. Yeah. And the time frame works. And it also helps me to understand the system and what's going on with them, their homework and different things like that. So women in education is a beautiful, beautiful thing. I know that over the years and in history, there are women who was in education and they fought for other women to be educated. You know, you're talking about women leaders and women teachers. There are so many that we could think of. And most of my family back in Ontario are teachers. I have one who's a principal. My very good friend is a principal. Yeah. School in Ontario. My cousins, my first cousins, they're pretty much all teachers. Yeah. My in-laws, some of them are teachers, and most of them are women. So, and my mom is one of the greatest teachers that you could find. That she didn't pursue just teaching. She's a counselor, and she taught so many of us young people that came around to cook, how to keep our homes, how to teach our kids, how to live, and just be a good citizen, all those things. So I
That's
think that women are important. Thank you.
Tiffany, why do you think it's important for mothers to get involved in education?
Why do I think it's important? I think it's first of all, I think women are born teachers, right? We're always showing, even when you think about when you're growing up, you're always guiding, you're always, if you have siblings or cousins, and then those of us who become mothers, right? It's almost like as soon as we're teaching. But I think definitely as women, right? I think us as leaders also shows other women that you can be in those places of influence, that, you know, we don't have to be quiet and timid and submissive, but we have a place in this world. We have a place. God has given us a place. And I look at, so for example, being an educator, right? I don't see it as every day I'm going to my job. I see it as I'm going to my place of influence, right? And I strongly believe that as women, especially women of faith, right, God wants to put us in those places of influence. And it may be, you know, in front of many people, or it may be in the background. But God puts us in those places of influence that, you know, men may not be able to reach either, right? And so, you know, there's a reason why God made us female, women, and there's a reason why God made men, male, right? But I believe, especially in the world that we're living now, to see that God can raise up us as women of faith, that, you know, even in some cultures and working with, and Arlene, I know you're talking about working with a lot of people, with a lot of diverse people, and coming from different cultures where, you know, it's not normal, or it's not a cultural norm for a woman to be in a place of leadership per se, or a place of influence, but to show them that what you have matters, and what you have can make an impact. You know, don't hide who you are. Don't hide what God has given you. Don't hide the strengths and the passions that God has given you to lead in whatever area that God has given you, whether it's an interest or some great skill or gifting. You know, so I think it's good for us to be an example to other women as well. Not only, I mean, you don't have to be in the forefront, but that there are ways to lead. God has called us, you know, to make an impact in this world, right? And it's our lives that show. It's our lives that testify to who God is, to the greatness of who He is in this world, right? And I think it's
one of the things that I find is, I hope you can hear me. One of the things that I find is that in today's generation, women need, especially mothers, need to get involved in their children's education. We need to participate, not just send them to school, but actually get involved in what they're learning, get involved in what they are doing. You know, and I know that, you know, life is very busy. Life is, you know, very busy. We're juggling so many things. But do you think it's important that women get involved in their children's education? I'll start with you, Arlene. Do you think it's important, Arlene? What do you think?
I absolutely think it's important. It's very important to be involved. Yes.
What, but why? Why, you know what? Why do you think, you know, why do you think it's very important that women get it, that mothers get involved, that sisters get involved, that daughters get involved, that everyone get involved when it comes to the education of our children?
We have to be involved because, like I said before, what you are telling these students from in their formative years has to be true, has to be virtuous, has to be pure, and it has to be aligned with what you are teaching them and your values. So you don't want someone just, for example, teaching your children about just, let's bring it up, sex education, for example, and it goes against your values, what you teach your children. You have to be involved so that you know, oh, okay, this lines up with this. Okay, your child might be feeling a certain way about taking sex education, but you have to know, do I want them involved in this education at this time, or do I not? or should I be the one to do this? You have to, like you have Tiffany says, you have to be the one. We're influencers and we make changes as teachers and educators in the school. But you can make great changes. You have a voice as a parent, as a sister, as a father, as a mother, for God's sakes. You can change the course of things through politics. But if you don't get involved, it's just like voting, then you have no voice. So that's why it's important. I think it's very important.
Yeah. Tiffany, what do you think?
Well, I think having 2 kids in a school system right now, just being aware of what are they teaching? What are you learning? I do agree that foundation starts at home, right? You're laying that foundation, but also knowing what they are learning at school and the principles that they're learning at school. You may not always agree, right? Whether it's truth or not, right? It's a debate, but you may not agree. And so as the parents of those children, I think it's our responsibility to guide them through those topics, right? To guide them through what they're learning, to say, hey, okay, so, whether they're learning creation versus evolution, and let's talk about both, because you may only learn one in school, right? Depending on what the curriculum is and everything like that. So allowing them to see both and giving them, let's say, evidence or rationale or backing for both, so that they know that there's more out there, and to allow them to start thinking, and us knowing, giving them that guidance, giving them more of a foundation.
Yeah. One of the things that when my kids were growing up, I remember one of my daughters coming home, and she was being taught about evolution, how the world came out of a big bang. And I really thank God. It's not our own doing. It is really by the grace of God that as a child in junior high, she was able to stand up and say, "No, I do not believe that. I do not believe that creation came out of a big bang. Big bang. That this is what I believe. And." Like you both said, education begins at home. Education starts in the home, and it continues by you working alongside the school in order to educate your children, right? But one of the problems that we find is parents are so busy. They're juggling 2-3 jobs, and we've learned over the pandemic that some parents are like, oh my God, I cannot educate my children. They have to go to school. You did a great job, Tiffany. You were teaching, and you were teaching your students at work through your job. You were also teaching your children at home. I salute you. You are the epitome of women.
Yes, I bow.
We bow to you. I have to ask you, which one is more challenging, teaching adults or teaching your children? Which one was more challenging?
Definitely the kids. Definitely my girls. They didn't want me as their teacher by the end. But maybe I'm not a good teacher for them. But they were ready to go back. They wanted to go back almost the first day that we started this. And take note too, like we were often doing their work later in the day when I was done my work, because I was using all of our electronic devices for my teaching. So it was a battle, but you have firsthand of exactly what they're learning because you're having to guide them through that. So you can take the good with the not so good, right?
I have to say that as a parent once told me, she said, I did not know how to teach math to my child. Or how to teach science.
No.
I can attest to that parent. I said, my kids wouldn't let my husband teach them math. It was like, it was like, hold on a minute, daddy doesn't know how to teach us math. And my husband and my kids would, butt heads in trying to learn, in the teacher and the students. How challenge, I understand it's very challenging to teach your own children, but as teachers, what tools can you give to parents to to include them in their children's education? Starting with you, Arlene, what tools do you think parents should develop, or tools that you can recommend to parents to be able to take part in their children's education and not give up?
Well, I think the first thing they should do is learn math. You have to learn the new math. No, honestly.
The math from today is different from the math that we learned.
Yes. Oh, for sure. For sure, it's different. I think you need patience. That's the first thing you need. You need to be totally patient and calm and take it bit by bit. Second, ask the principal. You can even ask, keep in touch with your principal and the teacher and ask for help. You can also get a tutor. Sometimes the tutors and those things are available, but a lot of people don't know that they're there. And technology, oh my goodness, technology. You can go on YouTube and learn just about anything. So when I say learn math, you can go on YouTube and YouTube can teach you a vast amount of things, including math. And so one of the tools is just learning it yourself, asking for help, just like how your child would ask you for help if you're not sure, and someone else who's great with math. Ask them, ask the teacher, ask the principal, and just find ways to do that and be very patient and calm, because that will help.
Tiffany.
I think just with experience with my own girls, first just asking them, hey, what did you learn today? Sometimes they're too tired or cranky to nothing, right? But showing that interest, right? Because I mean, as a full-time parent, full-time mom, right? I'm a single parent right now, and so, like you said, right? My time is very limited. I don't have the time that I would like to at this time to spend each individual time with them. But finding, even if it's 15 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is, and say, hey, how is school going? What are you learning? Okay. Do you feel like, and I'll just sit down with them. Do you feel like you're struggling with anything? Okay, ask questions. If you're not getting something, I'm sure your teacher would be willing to help you. And I said, I will do my best to help you where you need that help. But I need to get a feel for where they're at, because I don't get that time that I would hope. And I think a lot of parents, just like you're saying, that with people trying to make ends meet, and with this whole COVID environment, this pandemic environment, things are different. And so there's a lot more pressures and stress, and you have so much going on around your world on top of trying to maintain and make sure that your kids have quality education and that you're involved. And I think a parent that shows some interest and some involvement goes a long way for the child as well. That my mom cares. My mom cares about what I'm doing at school, right? And and if they do, maybe they don't get a good mark on an exam or whatever. Approaching it in a way at, hey, what's going on, right? Not like, what is wrong with you, right? But what's going on? What are you not understanding? Is there anything you're not understanding? Let's work through this. Because kids are going through a lot right now too, right? Yes. And so yes. I think just showing, number one for myself, just showing that I'm interested, I do care about what you're learning and what you're doing at school. And sometimes I may appear that I'm too busy for you, but I don't want you to know that I'm not too busy for you, right? I am interested in what you're doing. And let me know when you need me to go through something with you, or you want to talk about something that maybe you're not understanding. So.
I want to ask you, Tiffany, being an educator to adults not children, what are some of the challenges that you think that adult students face that students are probably not facing?
Well, first of all, right, they're adult learners. A lot of them, especially in the environment we're living in, right? They have a lot of things going on, right? They have many more responsibilities often, because a lot of the learners now, they're not just fresh out of high school and going to their post-secondary education and that's their focus, right? Maybe they have a side job. Right? The demographic of the learner now is, I'm a mom, or I'm a dad, I'm a parent, I have kids at home, I still have to maintain a job. I need to go in a field that I know that I can provide for my family, still making a difference, of course. And so there's all of these other things going on, and some, everything is online now, right? So the courses that were once in the class, even like labs, hands-on labs, right? They're not, some just aren't good learners that way. They need that tactile, face-to-face. And so those are the biggest challenges. And I know even when I'm teaching classes, right, they have other distractions. Like they're at home and they don't get that break away from their kids. They're at home, their kids are there. And I get many other additional members in my class, which is great. And I let them know I totally get it, right? And every so often my 2-year-old will come walking in while I'm teaching. And so, getting them to know that I understand and I'm here to support you. It's not me against you. We're in this together.
Arlene, you work with a lot of children from different ethnicity and backgrounds. How do you connect? How do you build relationships with your students?
Well, I guess we connect through sometimes cultural things, honestly. For example, part of my role is as an ELL is that I will pull small groups, as we're saying, getting things across to the kids, or getting them to understand what you're actually teaching or educating them about. So I pull a lot of small groups, and sometimes it's not about the subject at hand or the agenda for the day. It's about talking. And so one of the ways you connect and is talking about cultural things. Like, for example, my background is Jamaican, and I might have someone from Ethiopia or somewhere in Africa. So we connect because it's hot. We're both from hot countries. Then we start to discuss the water, the food, the music. And it's the same for someone who would be from India. It's hot. And then sometimes we connect through foods. It might be a different name, but it's food. And if there is a language barrier, that was another thing I was going to say for parents who don't speak English and so forth. Right now, as an ELL, they give us the tools. You have Google Translate. You have a lot of different methods and devices that you can translate languages. And so as you're talking, it's translating as you go. And in the schools, in most schools in Alberta, I would suppose, in their head office, there are ELLs, which is early English learners. And they direct us in the school what to do. So parents can reach out to us, we reach out to them. So connecting, I would say culturally, would be through food and music, and just simply something like, it's your birthday today and what do you do? And this is what we do, and reading the books we read and the things we teach and the things we have to educate them about. These books actually right now in the school board, the books are very diverse. They're very culturally diverse. And some of us who have been in Alberta and around for a while will see some of those changes. It's diverse as far as culture and so forth is going. So, people can feel a part of everything, and that connects the students. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. You know what? We're almost running out of time, but I do want to just read out some of the comments that we have today. I have, Adenike says, parents are the first teachers. which goes back to what we were saying earlier on about getting involved in your child's education. Don't just leave it to the schools. You have to get involved in that. And Elo said, usually parents wake up when it's already late. It starts when the kids are still little. It starts with you getting involved and just, making sure that you are a voice for your children's education, and that your children also know that you care and that you are interested in what they are learning and their future. And then Elvira says, shout out to all the teachers out there. That is wonderful. I want to read something to you, a quote that I found. It says, let's be clear, when you pay for your child's education and you do not get involved, you could be paying and consenting for your child to be indoctrinated with teachings and experiments that could pave the way for them to develop beliefs that could potentially produce liberal graduates who have no room for God in their lives. If we don't get involved in our children's education, if we are not engaged, we could literally be giving, we could just be paying for our children to be indoctrinated and learning things that could take them away from their beliefs, from the values that we're trying to teach them, and eventually their faith as well. All because why? We are not involved in our children's education. We're not speaking up when our child is coming home and saying, oh, guess what? I've been taught this in school, that the world came out of a big bang. And then that's an opportunity to say, hold on a minute, stop. Let's talk about this. What does the Bible say? This is an education moment. Yeah, this is what the Bible says. This is what we believe. This is how the world came. And that is a way to be, to make sure that your children have the right knowledge. We're not dismissing what the schools are teaching. We just want to work with the schools to make sure that our children are properly educated in every areas of life, so that they come out balanced, not imbalanced when it comes to life. Would you say, ladies? Tiffany?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. No. Knowledge is power, right? But you need to have a balance. There are options out there, right? There's many sides. And, we have to look at what's presented to us, not just what is strictly one side, right?
Yes.
Arlene?
I totally agree. I agree. We need a balance. And one of the things that I've seen, the trend with some students, not all, and students come out to be great citizens. And I said that first. You teach your kids, as someone said, at home, it starts there. And I don't care if I'm nothing else except just a good citizen of this earth. And just a person that's just helpful and a good citizen. But if I choose to go and do my education, I should not leave my great values that I've learned and just get educated. You have to line it up with mine and what I'm teaching my students or my children at home. So a good balance is definitely important, definitely. And you have to be involved, parents. I can't say it anymore. You absolutely have to be involved. You have to be on the PTA. If you can't get involved in other things, the PTA is a great place. Go on those parent council in your neighborhood. Get involved in the community and in some groups that you agree with, and push that ahead. Let your voice be heard as a woman and as a parent.
Awesome. One of the things that just to say, just to confirm what you're saying, I believe that it's important that we get involved, that we volunteer in the education system. One of the things that I found out is, people that sit on boards, that sit as trustees, they're all volunteers that have their own agenda that they're trying to push in. And the fact that they take time to volunteer and to sit on those boards, they have a voice and they make decisions you're wondering, hold on a minute, why are these decisions being made? Is because individuals took time out to volunteer, to volunteer on the school board, or like you said, as a trustee or whatever it is, and to make sure that they represent their own values, their own beliefs in the education of their children. And a lot of groups are doing that. A lot of groups are doing that. And I just want to encourage every parent that is out there. You may not be able to, not everybody has the time to do that. But those of us that do, if you want to have a voice in your child's education, if you want to make sure that your children are learning what you think that, is right, that, and you want to contribute, you need to get involved. Get involved. Show up at parent-teacher interviews. Show up, respond to those. My kids used to have a journal that we had to fill in every day. I don't know if they still do that today. And you have to write, they're writing there how your child's day went, and then you have to write a comment and sign it. I'm not sure if they still do that today. But those things, I had to fill out 5 of those every night. I was like, can I just photocopy these things? But I find that it's a way for me to learn about what my kids are getting involved in, what they're learning. Because when I ask them, do you have any homework? No. Do you have any, how was school? Okay. What did you do? Nothing. Those one words.
Yeah, good. How was school? Good.
But I found that when in those journals, you have all of the information that you need about your child's day when they, especially when they're in elementary ages. What I want to ask you both, one final question before we go. Somebody says some parents never show up to parent-teacher interview, and it's true. Some of us are working, and we try to find ways to show up in other areas. So some parents are working hard and they are trying, and so we are not dismissing parents because they're not participating as bad parents. We're just here to encourage everybody to find a way to get involved in their children's education. Find a way. Send a representative. Find a way to get involved. I want to ask you both one final question. Can you share one thing that keeps you motivated, or one success story? Like I shared with you that my teacher, Mr. Ramsey, is the reason why I am who I am today, because of the time that he invested in me. And it was, I think it was about 5 years ago. I wanted to, when I was, about 8-9 years ago, when I was approaching 40, I wanted to find him and thank him and let him know that I turned out well. I wanted to let him know that all of the time that you invested in me, I turned out well. So I was able to track him down through Facebook, and I emailed him and I said, oh, Mr. Ramsey, this is Adiola, the girl that used to give you all of that, gray hair back in school. I am now a mother, a pastor. I am now an author. And I listed all of my achievements. And I said, I owe this all to you because you pushed me, you believed in me, and you took time to invest in me and make sure that I graduated high school. And he was so happy. He was so happy. I want to ask both of you, do you have anything similar to that has encouraged you, and has helped you to, continue to be an educator?
I think for me, it's one word: future, right? You're looking towards the future, and future has impact. And, my hope and my prayer is that, I do make a positive impact in some learners' lives, and even in my kids' lives as they're learning. And I have all respect for teachers, let me tell you, that, that I have made that impact down the road, and that someone can say, hey, you inspired me to do this. And it's those little things when I go out and I go, to the different areas where I see former students, and they're like, Tiffany, thank you. And that in itself keeps me going, right? That what I am doing is not in vain. The passion that I have is not in vain.
Absolutely. I think when you see that you have a child from their formative years, and then you see them as an adult and what they have accomplished, especially if they had various challenges, and you know that you took the time out. The greatest thing for me is to see my children or any student who says, Miss Meredith, can you help me? I will take my lunchtime. I will sit there with my food, eating, or forget the food and help you. I will come on, even now with COVID-19, Google School, go in and check your work because I see the interest. And even if I don't see the interest, I will bug you. But the success is when you see that child succeeding. And then also, when you see that child grow into a man or a woman and they have success stories, they've accomplished great things in their lives. I have one where there was a gentleman that came from another country. I would say a gentleman because he looked to me like he was, but he's not. He was a student. He just was a big guy, and he couldn't speak English. So whenever we had anything with English, he was frustrated. He gave up. What's the sense? My job was to help this man to learn English, along with breaking down everything so he could understand. And so this student, in less than a year, was speaking English to me and saying Miss, Mr., and, to the other teachers, the male teachers, and speaking perfect, fluent English because he learned this tragedy, he practiced. I said to him, go home, speak to your mom, your dad, use these words. And they'll say, where did you get that word? Tell them you're learning this word. Let them help you. Look in the mirror. Speak to yourself. All these things and these tragedies. And to see him graduate from high school, that is the greatest accomplishment. It pushes you, it drives you, and it makes you more passionate. So I would say just seeing the great adult that these students turn out to be. Yeah.
Wow, that is wonderful. I want to thank you both for joining me today. The time has gone really, really fast, and I am so grateful. Before we close, we're going to play your music again, Arlene, in a Heaven. It's an amazing song. You can get it on YouTube. Just look up Arlene Meredith. And I want to just share a few announcements that's coming up, and then I'm going to ask, my guests to share one final word with our listeners before we go. And so one of the first thing I want to remind us is that we are continuing with this tomorrow, day 4. And day 4, we have another speak. We have Tamika Hall. Tamika is an amazing, powerful woman in the area of media. You only have to look up Tamika Hall to see all of the great things that she is doing to shake the media industry, the media pillar for women. And this is happening tomorrow, Thursday at 7 p.m. right here on this same channel. And then we are continuing on Friday. We're continuing on Friday with our theme, celebrating women in celebrating Women's International Day. And on Friday we have women in the arts and media, and that's with Toyin Oladele. And Saturday, women in politics with Councillor Gibbs, and we're going to be finishing it off with women in ministry and the church. And then on Monday, we have the final one. On Monday, it's my great opportunity to bring to you the Women's International Day celebration. My birthday worship time with amazing women in our city who are all powerful artists, singers, songwriters, worshipers. They are going to be sharing with you through music what God has been doing in their lives. If you want to get in touch with us, we are on all of the social media platforms. We are on Facebook, just where you are right now. You can like us. And we are also on YouTube, again, where you are right now. Just click the like button, the subscribe button. We are also on Instagram, as well as we are on Twitter. You can connect with us, and we promise to we promise to connect back with you. So before we go, I want to bring these two amazing women back on again, and I want to ask them, and I want to ask Tiffany, what final word, both of you, would you say to women about rising up in the education industry? What final word can you say to women about rising up in the education industry? What can you say to women? Encourage them to rise up.
I would tell women, right now there are many programs out there, and you can go back to school online if you would like to. They're certainly looking for teachers. That's one of the fields right now that's very high. I am a human service professional, and that landed me different roles within the educational system. And I am still thinking of going back, because we are long life learners, right, Tiffany? We learn something new every day. We learn from our students, we learn from the principal, and we're always being trained. So don't be afraid, go back and do that. And we need women, and we need a lot of women to come in the system.
Tiffany, unmute yourself.
All right. So I would say, just to end off, if you have a passion to inspire, right? Yeah, there's a great need for educators out there, and it doesn't matter what sector you're in. There is a need, and as women of faith, right? Don't underestimate the impact that you can make, right? Of what you have and what you can share with others. And just like, you may not know it all, right? But allow God to equip you if you have that passion, right? To inspire, to make that impact as a teacher, as an educator, and don't underestimate the impact that you can make as a teacher, right? As an educator.
No, I am a living proof of the amazing work that educators do. And we want to encourage every Deborah out there that is called to the education pillar. You could be a teacher, you could even be a volunteer on the board, you could be a mentor, you can be an administrator in the school, even a lunchroom supervisor. Anyone that is called to work with people to encourage them to learn and to contribute to society, we want to encourage you, rise up and participate, rise up and get involved, rise up and serve the purpose of God in the education pillar, in the system, because there is a need for each and every one of us. This is Dee Adekugbe from All Women Ministry. We're going to, leave you tonight with Heaven by Arlene Meredith. We hope that you will join us tomorrow as we continue celebrating Women's International Day. God bless you and good night.
Living in this sinful world below, yeah. There are lots of pain and misery, yes. But still I have to do the works of him that sent me. While it is day, for the night, it draweth nigh. That's why I sing. Wish I could fly and touch the sky, touch the sky. Wanna go to heaven when I die, when I die. I wish I could fly and touch the sky, touch the sky. I wanna go to heaven when I die, when I die. Listen, my friends, please come with me, yeah, to this great land of liberty, yeah. Must be heaven, can't wait to see his face. Can't wait to see his face, the one who saved me by his grace. That's why I sing, say, wish I could fly and touch the sky, touch the sky. I wanna go to heaven when I die, when I die. I wish I could fly and touch the sky. sky, touch the sky. I wanna go to heaven when